under when it comes to the National Assembly Committee setup. Honorable Minister, I think you have been communicating twice to report to the committee, but maybe it could be lack of communication, whether a bit of communication somewhere else. You couldn't appear. Today, you are here to give us a brief presentation with regard of your ministry, your activity report, policy direction of your ministry. That's the reason why you are summoned here today. Nonetheless, we will be engaging you in the series of activities within this sixth legislature. But this is just a starting point, or you will give us a brief presentation of your ministry so that we can actually forge ahead. Before that, Honorable Minister, I would make a citation from the 1997 Constitution with regard of the committees of the National Assembly. It is actually outlined on Section 109 of the 1997 Constitution that actually dictate the setting of oversight committees within the National Assembly. And then under Section 109, I will be reading subsection 3. I don't know whether you have the 1997 Constitution with you. In case it is not with you, this is why I would read it to you so that at least you can have a clue on what they are about to do. That section talks about the powers of the committee. But nonetheless, I will read it so that you can listen to me carefully. And from there, we continue. Then Section 109, that is committees of the National Assembly. But subsection 3 reads, for the purpose of effectively performing its function, each of the committees shall have all the powers, rights, and privileges as are vested in the High Court at a trial in respect of. Then you have A, enforcing the attendance of witness, examining them on oath, affirmation, or otherwise, compelling the production of document, that's B, and C, the issue of a commission or request to examine witness abroad. Here, Honorable Minister, I am very particular about the affirmation, the oath, because I would not want for somebody who might say, okay, I have already taken an affirmation somewhere else. Here is a different case. You are serving as a witness. So since you are serving as a witness, it is a dictate of the 1997 Constitution for witness to take an oath, an affirmation. This is why we are requesting for your affirmation as a witness of the committee. And actually, we are not taking it just maybe because of National Assembly we have powers. No, we are taking it according to the dictate of the 1997 Constitution. And then I want to beg your indulgence actually before you start presenting to take the affirmation with my clerk will come and then help you do it. So I thank you. We are continuing the session.
I'll speak the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Minister of Interior. Without much ado, we'll have a personal introduction so that at least you can recognize some of the members that you are talking to. Us also, already we know who is the Minister of Interior, but it is known that before we continue presentation, we have personal introduction. I am Honorable Samba Diallo, Vice Chair of the Committee and member for Nyamina Danko. Yes, Simbala.
I am Honorable Mohamed Kante, National Assembly member for Yuskundala constituency.
Yes, I am Almana Jiwa, Fonyi Kansala constituency, member of this committee.
I am Honorable Sampun Dampa, National Assembly member of the Media constituency.
I am Honorable Fatih, nominated.
Honorable Sirisa, constituency.
Good day, I am Alari, clerk of the committee.
Good morning, I'm Daniel Carpos, Deputy Clerk, Legislative Business and Programs.
You did? Okay. Thank you, Honorable Minister of Interior. Honorable Minister, as I mentioned earlier on, you are summoned here today to give us a quick presentation of your Ministry of Interior. We have series of presentations since in the morning. That is the National Security Advisor and the National Security Council, and then the Ministry of Defense and Security will be the portfolio holder, the third presenter from the Minister of Interior. I think the Interior also is another important ministry within our setup. So on that note, before we are running against time, I would yield the floor to you. You present, you introduce yourself, then continue your presentation. So the floor is yours, Honorable Minister.
Good afternoon, chairperson of this committee, other members here present. I wish to extend my congratulations to all of you for your elections to the high office of National Assembly members and the nominated member, of course. First of all, I would like to apologize for not being here in the first instance because I didn't get the communication. On that day, I attended a session at the Kairaba Conference Center in the morning, and then I had to go to Bansan to spend the night so that I can attend another ceremony at the opening of the female wing and the training section of the Danjambure prisons. I have no reason not to come here. I have a lot of respect for this institution. I want it to be noted that I did not deliberately fail to come. I didn't get the communication. I even tried to talk to Madam Alare, and I said it would be good if he could have that information. Even for me to come here today, I was alerted by the NSA to say that I was supposed to be here. I'm not aware. Until he alerted me and I said, I will come. I went to a ceremony at Kairawa and left to come here. That is just in passing. We have a lot of respect for your position. You are elected members and you are here for all of us. I also voted for somebody to represent me here. So if I don't respect you, what is the point of voting? My mandate of the Ministry of Interior has the oversight, responsibility and security over the security institutions that are in charge of maintaining and enforcing internal law and order geared towards achieving the overall security of this country. The Ministry's mandate is therefore pursued through formulation, implementation and monitoring of legitimate policy imperatives and legal frameworks to oversee security sector programs and activities, facilitate public participation for internal security dispensation. The functions of the Ministry of Interior and 9 departments. 1, enforcing rule of law and justice with honesty and integrity, protection of our borders, ensure adequate protection of life and property, ensure effective and efficient crime prevention and detection, regulate and monitor the entry, stay and exit of nationals of all countries, improve the public relations system. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. Safekeeping of inmates through rehabilitation and skill training, mitigate disasters caused by fire and other rescue services, registration and profiling of refugees and other persons of concern. Departments and agencies under the Ministry of Interior are 1, Gambia Police Force, headed by Inspector General of Police Abdoulaye Sanyang; Gambia Immigration Department, headed by Director General CD M. Toure; Gambia Prison Service, headed by Director General Ansumana Mane; Gambia Fire and Rescue Services, headed by Chief Fire Officer Sang Kolindao; Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia, headed by Director General Bakari Keik Gassama; Gambia Commission for Refugees, headed by Commissioner Famara Fadera; National Commission Against the Proliferation of Small Arms and Light Weapons, headed by retired Captain Ibrahim Kambi; Private Security Companies Authority, headed by Deputy Superintendent of Police Sana Dane. The above departments, commission and authority under the Ministry of Interior are the operational arm of the ministry. The Ministry of Interior itself has an oversight responsibility over the above listed institutions and is responsible for the overall public policy in respect of internal security, public safety, and the protection of lives and properties in the Gambia. Administration. The Honorable Minister is the political head of the ministry and its line departments and agencies, and is supported by the Permanent Secretary here, who is the administrative head of the ministry, by the way he's called Abdoulaye Jara, and its line departments and agencies. The minister is also supported by an advisor, Mr. Jibril Ngor Seka, who is working at the ministry with me. The office of the minister has 1 principal private secretary, 2 orderlies, 2 drivers, and a messenger. The permanent secretary is also supported by two deputy permanent secretaries, one on administration and the other on technical affairs. These officials are further supported by a principal assistant secretary, a senior assistant secretary, and 2 assistant secretaries. The responsibilities of the Minister of Interior include, but not limited to, the following: conducting business related to the matters within the portfolio of Minister of Interior in Cabinet and National Assembly, which brought me here; implementing the decisions taken in Cabinet on matters relating to the mandate of the Ministry of Interior and in collaboration with other ministries and the relevant public officials; initiating policies relating to internal security of the country; present Cabinet memorandum to Cabinet on matters related to internal security. Other units under the Ministry of Interior: we have a Records Management Unit, Staff Officers Unit, Finance, Procurement Unit, the Internal Audit, Planning Unit, Statistics and IT, Information Unit, and Support Service Unit. Ministry of Interior Institutional Assessment: where are we? We have no internal security policy as yet. We were developing it. It got stalled. It's for information. It has to be funded, and we started, but apparently it was agreed that the UNDP was supposed to fund it, but halfway through it stopped. But we are trying to revive it again. On internal security sector legislation. Recommendations: draft an internal security policy. Like I said, we've started it. It has not been concluded. Certain members were co-opted from outside the normal system. Some are within. I was then police advisor. I was co-opted to join that police recommendation so that we can have an internal security policy. Amendment recommendations: again, amendment of the various security institution acts. Many of our institutions have acts that we feel are not useful anymore. We try to revamp them, and they are under review. B, personnel assessment: where are we? Lack of specialized experts, especially in IT, limited administrative staff, absence of a project management unit. Recommendations: 1, to recruit specialized experts, especially in IT, for the Safe City project. This is a project that is being proposed that will initiate acts or certain things around the country, which will help boost our security installation. Later on, we will bring those things for your attention, for your approval. Because, for instance, we want certain things to be in place. You have people complaining about criminal activities happening in certain areas without police knowing about them. But if you have those safe city projects like CCTV, traffic lights, and so forth, it will reduce those actions, those activities that are affecting our lives. We recommend also recruit a highly qualified administrative staff, create a fully staffed project management unit. Infrastructure assessment: where are we? An expensively rented complex with limited office space. We took over, like I said, I took over a ministry complex which is very expensive and with very little or limited office space. Sometimes we want to put certain things in place because of the contract condition. We will not be able to do that. Yesterday we were discussing with the agent for the complex to see whether or not we could do certain things to make it a little bit more accommodating for our needs. We can say, yes, we have got some headway. We have been promised that there will be no obstruction to getting certain things in place so that we can have partitions and so forth to create space for, in case we want to have office space. But currently, I would like you also to know that our tenancy of that place has run out. It expired end of last month, and it's subject to renew. We are thinking of having a new interior ministry building somewhere around the old new line, we used to call new police lines near St. Augustine's along Boxbar Road. Equipment. Recommendation: construction of with furnishing of a 3-story building, office building complex at the former new police lines, like I was saying. Equipment assessment: where are we? No integrated national security surveillance IT platform in place. 2, limited office equipment. Recommendations: we recommend installation of fully operational and integrated national security surveillance system, safe cities, like I was discussing earlier. Operations assessment: where are we? Limited mobility, only few roadworthy official vehicles, no official vehicles from the private security company authority, as well as the National Commission Against the Proliferation of Small Arms and Light Weapons, NATCOM. Let me expand a little bit on this Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. It has been established because there is this need to try to reduce the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in West Africa and under the auspices of ECOWAS. Since its establishment, for information, the officer who has been appointed in that position has not yet been paid a penny, and he's still coming daily. He's using his own vehicle to come. I have raised this issue because the Public Service Commission gave him an appointment letter, and as I'm speaking to you, he has yet to be paid. I've asked them to look into that. We recommend that there is need to provide vehicles for the office. Apart from that, the fire service, the chief fire officer, as we speak, doesn't have an official vehicle to be traveling from office and to his residence. And in case of emergency, you want him to come and he's struggling to come, he goes on public transport. It's not good enough. But we have been able to secure approval for the purchase of vehicles for him. But as you know, the process takes a little bit of time, but we hope to be able to get that. Apart from that, even his operational staff are struggling because the vehicles they have, like I mentioned before, mobility issues with the police, with the fire service and prisons. Prisons one, we were able to secure some vehicles for them recently. And we are planning to build a new prisons at Old Joshua after the disposal of the premises that they are presently occupying. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the short and precise. Earlier on, in your presentation, you have actually mentioned all the institutions that is under working, that is the Ministry of Interior Affairs, actually having oversight on. So I have listened to you, and then I know the members of the committee too have actually listened to your presentation, and then they must have something that they deduce from your presentation, either by question or by comment or observation. Then I will open the floor for the meantime for members to have to raise their concern issues or questions. Honorable members, now the minister has ended his presentation. I will actually invite any member who have a question or clarification or observation, member for council.
Thank you very much, Minister and the Permanent Secretary. for clearing the air of your absence in previous meeting, and we've heard you very well, and I think the other end will also improve their communication towards effectiveness in adhering to meetings, as you have said. I have 3 questions, but I think maybe you could also note it so as to seek your response. One, you've mentioned that one of your key functions as an institution, you are responsible for seeing the safekeeping of inmates. Can you please elaborate more on how your ministry is carrying out these functions and some of the challenges that you're facing in those implementation of those challenges? Yes, one. The other thing is about the fire and rescue services. Looking at the broadness of Funis from Block to Kalaji, you realize that there are deficits in terms of materials, especially cars. Currently from Block to Kalaji is only Kanilai that has a fire station. And my last visit, less than a month ago, is only 1 car that is key functioning. And the second of it also is you only have 2 hydrants, that is Buyam and Kanilai. So meaning from Kalaji, from Buyam down to Kalaji, no hydrant. Then from Buyam down to Block, there is no hydrant. In case, for example, fire incident occurs in Block, they have to down run all the way to Buyam, fetch water and go back to Block. Or from Kalaji, Buyam or Kanilai. I want you to elaborate on that. What lead role as an administrative of these institutions, your performance in this to see effectiveness in that. The last question is, as of last March, March 13, the incident that happens in Funi about the issue at the border and the fracas between the other side, it has heralded a lot of migrants within the Gambia to seek refuge in the Gambian soil. And in that, we realized that a CID officer was also arrested, taken to Senegal. The Alcalo arrested, taken to Senegal, and his brother Fabakari also arrested, taken to Senegal. Later negotiations came, they were brought back, released with their families. So in the questioning aspect is, Fabakari was arrested, including his money. About $40,000 was with him. He attested that it was taken by the Senegalese people. Within the former interior minister, we followed it to see that how could he get his money. And again, also the compensation aspects, in which they were termed as rebels. Unfortunately, they were not, and returned back to the Gambia, including the CID officer. At this time of the moment, what level of preparedness are you in that? And again, the monies of that particular guy, a farmer for that matter, and again, his health condition is deteriorating day by day. He's not feeling well, and he is hospitalized 1 or 2 weeks, goes back home, for your information. So I want this clarity in these areas, if I'm permitted, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Minister, I don't know whether you are jotting.
Yeah, I'm describing. I'm taking notes.
You are taking notes. Yeah, because otherwise you will be taking notes. Then I will allow members to intervene after you respond. Okay. Yes, Captain.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, is the Honorable Minister going to respond now, or we take the whole lot of?
That's what I mean. Now you will be taking note.
Let him respond.
Well, then you can respond because members are saying
the challenges we're facing in keeping units.
Yes?
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yeah, you can come.
Thank you very much for the question about the inmates. We have challenges because the population of prisons, there was a huge number of prison inmates. Unfortunately, did not expect that question. I couldn't give you the exact number, but the number is big. We are now trying to see whether we can build a new prisons to move the prisons from Old Joshua. It's from Y2 to Old Joshua. And the process involves trying to assess the value of that one, the prisons as it stands, so that it can be sold out to CGPA? Gambia Ports Authority. And assessment of the value was done. And there are people who are interested in coming to do the building. But we wanted to start with first knowing what can be got from the land area, both the prisons and the headquarters, so that the resources can be used to build a new prison. Obviously, there were reports about the prison conditions, and the idea was to move the prison from where it is, and also even try to move away from, because of the bad history. I will have you know that I was one of those who suffered detention, not at Mile 2, but Janjambure. It's far away, but I was there for 4 months. I was the chief security for UDP, and I was picked up at Caravan and taken and detained without any reason. All they said was a decree. So I know what it means to be in a prison. So I have a great concern about improving the conditions of prisons and trying to make sure that when people are taken to prison, they are not there for punishment, but for rehabilitation. During the speech that I delivered in Janjambure, I said it is now clear to all of us that anybody can go to that prison, so we should make it habitable. We should not make it as a place for punishment, but for correction. And there are ideas that we are discussing with our partners, UNODC and others, to see how we can improve prison conditions and make them places where people go to, and when they come out, they come as reformed persons, even with skills. Some will come out as tailors, carpenters, even those who will be skilled enough to do solar installation and electricity work and other skills. Along the line, once they are there, they will also earn some income when they come out as better persons. So we don't regard prisons as a detention center for punishment, but for rehabilitation. Obviously, the reforms take time. So the challenges are that you have budgetary constraints. We will have to rely on your support to make sure that when we request for certain amounts of money to sustain the operations, we get, if not fully what we want, but enough so that we can maintain the prisons. Prison officers, you can see them sometimes struggling on the way. And there's a new prisons bill of which will be sent to cabinet as a cabinet paper. After that, we'll bring it to you for deliberation, and we will seek your support in that area. I hope I've answered your questions. And the next one is?
Talking about the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services.
Yes, the Gambia and Fire Rescue Services, the presence or lack of presence in areas is a concern, but we have constraints, budgetary constraints. We would ideally like to have fire service stations everywhere. But unfortunately, with the constraints on the budget, we cannot sustain that. In fact, we rely a lot on the support that we are getting from Avon and Somerset Fire Services. They give us second-hand fire tenders. They are not so good, but at least I hope this will not go public, because if they give you something, you cannot say it's not good for public consumption. Maybe you can see what you do with it. We're not trying to censor you, but it's not good for our purposes to say they give us something and we don't like it, like looking a gift horse in the mouth. We would prefer to have new fire tenders. So we have been donated, again, for information. Turkey has generously donated a new fire tender, which we are going to work on, and an ambulance. and we are thinking of purchasing one fire tender. Incidentally, there was an issue that you should know about. The machine-readable passports ran out. The question was, why do we have machine-readable passports alongside biometrics? But we have a lot of our people abroad. I remember we came here, a question was asked for the Foreign Affairs and my ministry about why people are being deported and here and there and the diaspora concerns. But I was, again, living in UK for nearly 20 years, and sometimes traveling becomes an issue if you cannot renew your passport. And you cannot renew those passports, the biometrics, where they are, as we are, the current conditions are not favorable, and we don't have our staff on the ground to do it. For enrollment into the biometric system, you have to be present. So that is a constraint. So we are looking at ways and means of trying to improve the presence of fire tenders in all areas. We have one at Bajakunda, yes. And you are talking about two hydrants, but they have no hydrant. They have to depend on a borehole, and I have been assisted as a promise that someone, a friend of mine, has offered to give me assistance to have 2 boreholes for Bajakunda area, one at the fire station and one in the village, so that at least they can have it. I will engage him again and see whether we can get for Phonis as well. He's a very good friend, and it's not like a business. These are individuals whose relatives passed away, and they give those things as charity, as they call it, so they offer that. So I'm going to take note of that, and if you probably give us a name of 2 villages in the Phonis, we can ask him to consider that as well. The next one.
Thank you.
There's another, third question. Yes,
talking about the incident that happened in the boat at the boat.
About those, I happen to know the CID officer who was picked up. I have seen him. I think I will ask for time to know more about what happened, because, like I said, I was not expecting that question, but we will give you the response as to what happened so far and what we can do about it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, I think when you respond and summarize your responses, because already a committee is sitting down waiting for us to adjourn. So, honorable members, you have summarized your intervention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister and PS. The first question will be, what is your ministry position in respect to the current ongoing SSR, security sector reform, and how does it impact on your ministry and the security forces that are under your ministry? That's one. The second question will be, what is your ministry policy in respect to human rights issues? You know, as we knew, the Gambia Police Force is under your ministry, and there are a lot of human rights issues that are happening in that force, and the IGP himself acknowledged it, and we want to know whether the ministry has a policy, you know, on that human rights issues, and how can you coordinate it with them? The third question is, what is the status of the confiscated drugs? Hence, the drug squad is under your preview as the ministry, and we all learned that there was these drugs that has been confiscated at the ports. What is the status of the drugs? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Disposition regards to the progress of the security sector reform, which is on which is ongoing.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. the question about security sector reform is a process ongoing. Certain aspects of it obviously are being supported by international partners, and we cannot do it alone. Certain sides of it are being dealt with internally. Recently, there was a committee set up by the NSA to go and discuss about the way forward, right-sizing the various sectors and so on and so forth. Until those are completed, we can only say bear with us. We are working on, it's a working document we have in place, and we are seriously pursuing it.
The ministry's operation on human rights, it's a national one. It's the same as the national human rights.
Yeah, thank you again for the question about human rights issues. If you have been affected by an human rights issue, obviously you'll be keenly interested. I was affected. I was a victim. And anybody who's talking about the rights of individuals, I think about myself. What has happened to me, I did not like. I would not like that to happen to any other citizen. And I take this very seriously. Any person who has been maltreated out of line by an officer, as far as my ministry is concerned, we will pursue it and make sure that person doesn't have a place within our society. People have a right to freedom. Well, they say the freedom, the right of one person stops where the other person's right starts. But we have national security concerns where people are transgressing other people's rights, and they claim about their own rights. You know, that is subjective. But we will look at them and deal with them accordingly. I can assure you that we will not accept the trespassing of other people's rights. We will make sure that people enjoy their full rights.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The last point is what actually happens to the confiscated drugs? They are bought.
Yeah, you're talking about the nearly 3 tons of cocaine. It's an investigation that's ongoing, and the matter is before court. As you know, items that are subject to police inquiry or whatever, they will not. I think you were a police officer. You were a police officer, weren't you? A security officer, Mr. Kante. I think you were. What it is though, if a subject is before court, we cannot do anything with them until the conclusion of the case. I'm wrong, maybe, I thought you were. Sorry, I'm not trying to personalize this, but I'm just saying, if items are confiscated and subject to judicial inquiry, they cannot be disposed of until the end of it. The case is proceeding very well. There were issues arising here and there. The person involved, the person of interest involved, evaded arrest. But there are procedures to follow as far as this case is concerned, and they are being vehemently pursued. We can assure you that we will not let it go slide unless justice releases. But for us, we are pursuing very seriously. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Number 4. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister and the Permanent Secretary. I wanted to elaborate on the condition of the prisons, the inmates, but somebody talked about it, and then I was happy that you were one time a victim and you have tested so far what is in there. So, and then I'm happy that you talk about plans to improve the condition of the prison or the inmates. So definitely I was happy to hear that that plan led. So far, as you have stated, they are also human beings, and they should be taken care of course. So definitely I was happy to hear that. And then I only hope, as you have stated, that will continue. and then we will solely hear an improvement as far as that sector is concerned. And we'll be very happy definitely to receive, because we are here for you people. Anything, any assistance or anything you may need as far as your sector is concerned, just forward it, and then we'll be in the position when we actually we can do it to help. But if we don't know, obviously it will be very difficult for us to at least put our helping hand there. So far.
Thank you, member, for serious. Honorable Minister, note that question, then the last honorable member answer, then you answer, they have asked a question, then you answer them together.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. May I acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Speaker and Chair of the committee. My question is, let me just congratulate you before I move forward. My first question is, you've been talking about violation of human rights, and human rights are rights that every person is born with, like right to life and right to liberty. If you talk about the right of civilians, let's talk about the right of our security personnel who were in Scotland working for us. And out of some security personnel, just a few segments from the security should not be visited on the whole team. We all witnessed what transpired during the past regime. Civilians were subjected to police brutality. But this newfound democracy, police also were subjected to brutality. And I think we all deserve the same right. What is your take on this? Policemen and women who are on the uniform during riot or protest, they get hurt or injured. What is your take on that? Question number 2 is, you talk about the draft policy of the security sector, and you mentioned the donor partners who are giving a supportive hand. Did you have any counterpart funding from the government side? Number 3, you mentioned the traffic light and the CCTV that will help you to track the criminals who venture into crime. Is this short-term or long-term plan? My final question is, you've been mentioning that you were also part of the victim of Jame atrocity. Yes, this is why those who fought in their sweat and blood will not make this government a child-play government. You went through a lot. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I witnessed what happened, and you are not just arrested, but you were subjected, you were taken by your own colleague to go and answer to the police station. If not, their meeting will be dispersed, the crowd will disperse. So thank you very much for taking that. I must acknowledge that one.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Joshua.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Minister, congratulations for the question again. With regards to the police, as you already mentioned, the Interior Minister, you talk about equipment and other machines that you are lacking currently. Last time I met with one business firm from America who gave me a document saying that they are in touch with your department at the police unit for equipment and also for other police material that they want to help the police with. But up till now, they have been going up and down, and there is no response from the police. So those documents you are giving to me, and then possible I might, as far as you are new in the system, if I can get your number, I send them to you to look at them, because these people are willing, and then they are planning to come, maybe by next week they want to come and visit the Gambia. So they are ready for something. So you having them together, sit with them and discuss with them, and if they can help. Because they say they're having a very big package in both the UN and the American government, and they want to help Gambia. But it's like things we are dragging for a long time now. And this man wants to get this way and then move ahead with other things. So I asked him to wait until we have this kind of discussion with you as well as we are expecting you. Today you are here. The other thing also with regards to all those one, I mean not being the MP for the area, the my two central prison that we want to move to those one prison, as you are saying, as you are proposing, to build another prison inside those one prison. Why can't you locate the one from Joshua to Mile 2 and allow that area to be used by the people of Joshua? Because we are in need of an area. We need a place for our own development. Because we are growing all the time, and the prison has occupied a very big space within our community. It's no more a place that was as of before, where you have few Syrians and few Jolas living there. Now you have many Syrians and many Jolas living there. So we want that place to be lived for us, and then the prison to be relocated to Mile 2. The other thing was about your office. I'm very grateful to you if you can stand up on that, to build your own office, than always keep on renting. You have the men with you. You have a police team that are technically minded in construction. I think you have less cost on that. So I think it's good for you to act on that as possible to relocate it here in Banjul, because you have a space that every time government renting, and you have this space available. If you want to still maintain Banjul, let's go inside and start buying compounds that are being sold in Banjul to develop, to have them as government ministries. Then all the time spending money on renting. The initiative is very good. We will support you, but for those one, try to do it.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister, you can now respond.
Yeah, first one is the human rights. Ilyas.
Yeah, I
yes,
see.
This is the man from Badi. Is it the man from Badi?
Yes.
It's still Wonka. Don't mind him. Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Ilyas. Your comments are appreciated. We promise to be proactive. If you have concerns, let us know. If you don't have answers, we will get our officers to answer the questions. But we will make sure that our proposals, our projects come to fruition. Anybody trying to stop it, you will have to come with a very good reason for that not happening. Otherwise, excuse my word for it, I have a hammer. Thank you so much. We promise to do that. The other one was
from Jawara, Honorable Jawara, Amata.
Yes.
He was talking about what about the human rights of our security?
Indeed, like I said, one man's rights, another man's. But at the end of the day, the security services are members of our society. The members of the security services are from our homes. And I happen to have assisted a PIU officer who was invited by a community to go for security coverage at football match. The two football teams clashed. They were fighting, and it was caught in the middle. This officer was caught in the middle. Someone came with a cutlass and chopped him on the hand. And he was left untreated. Firstly, the one involved, I don't know what happened to the culprit, but the officer suffered so much. Even to get the treatment here, didn't get the proper treatment. I had to intervene. In the end, I had to work with the DIG, AIG admin, Deputy IG and Assistant Inspector General to go to the Ministry of Health, and I said, we have to get this guy treated. Obviously, the idea was that certain kind of officials are not entitled to overseas treatment. But I got this done for him. Fortunately, his name Manga. He'd been to India, and is it India? Yeah, he went to India and is back. But we have a lot of our officers assaulted. I think what we will do when we have maybe our next session, we come to your committee and show you a list of officers who have been assaulted. If we get assaulted, security services, it gets very little mention. But let a police officer go into a confrontation with members of the public, it becomes a big topic. It's not something that will happen. We discourage it. But the public should understand that these officers, be it police, army, NSIS, or the drug law enforcement, they are to protect our society, give us a good name, good image. The way we go out to meet with them should be very civilized, so that at least they perform their duties without any harm. But sometimes, you know, the way they are confronted can be very, very sad, that it ends up in a situation where our friends, the media, we are not saying we are biased, but sometimes you capture those easily, and what happens is that the action of the reaction, so to speak, of the officer is captured more than what happened before. Yes, I was the chief security for UDP. I don't know whether I should publicize this, but I was required by my party leader to go and surrender to the police. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. You know why I didn't do it? I was not afraid. He said to me, are you afraid? I said, no, I'm not afraid. But if later on I want to challenge that, the police will say, you went to surrender. I would not do it. You go and surrender me. I was escorted by the former Speaker of this House, this Assembly, Madam Denton and Dr. Cisse. They escorted me to the police station. This is for the record. I was escorted and surrendered to the police. When we arrived, like you were sitting there, I came in and stood at the counter. No one said anything to me. I said, but I was required to come here. No one answered until somebody, a lone voice said, yes, we want you. And the others shouted him down. Then I walked into an office and found Commander Suarez of the PIU, Police Intervention. He was crying because I trained him. It's a sad story, but this has to be said. He was crying and he said, what are you doing here? I said, I was told you want me. Then the question was, you trained me. If police want you, we don't call for you, we come for you. I said, but I was required by my party leader to come. So that's the story. That's my story. And I said this, someone telling me, and I said, I'm going to say this and keep on saying it. My party leader, unfortunately, was the one who required me to go for reasons, because he's a lawyer and he knows why he did that. But for me, as an ex-police officer, I wouldn't surrender. So even after this, there was a DRRC. When he was questioned by SFA, you know Siaka Sonke, yes, I know him, but he was our chief security. He was arrested, but I don't know how that happened. That is that's my sad story. I find that unfortunate. Anyway, let's go. It's not part of this, but it upsets me. It upsets me that. I'm sorry, it's my story. Anyway, it's just beside the point. Yes, can we, I think I go to your point about old Joshua.
No, I think there's a point there. The CCTV, when it's a long term or a short term?
Short term, yes. Yes. Excuse me, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing it up here. Sorry. You see, I put my heart up for you. No, it's okay. Let's carry on. This is it's just a topic of. Anyway, about the CCTV and this thing. These are short term and long term. We would like to have something. We want to have something in place for our security services. Incidents happen and we do not. Like for instance, there was a robbery outside the Standard Bank, Kairaba Avenue. I challenged them. I said, "You have CCTV, but it doesn't cover the outside area. Can you put it?" They've done a little. You haven't to check. Then our security advisor, I said, police advisor. So CCTV for the short term and the long term. If you have it, so some countries are challenging the presence of CCTV in public arena because they say the police and the security are snooping on them. But it helps. It helps a lot. Because in the event the police are not there, something happens, we can always review the CCTV coverage and be able to catch some criminals. I think you remember the incident about some ladies in a shop who were taking things and hiding them. There was an officer, I think it's Gayso, he's in America. He happened to see it and he got assistance. They tried to work on it and they were able to properly identify the people concerned and arrested them. So that is That is something that we are going to keenly follow, and there is something happening in the pipeline. Again, if it comes to the purchasing of it, budgeting, we will need your support. About Old Joshua, Honorable Member, Mile 2. Mile 2 doesn't have Mile 2 doesn't have the same good name as Old Joshua. Unfortunately, it is in a built-up area, yes. Ideally, we would like to have prisons built outside, but a lot of factors come into play. You want to have a prison very close to, in case inmates get sick, to be able to get medical attention quickly. We have the Serkunda and the Banjul hospitals and other like them back. But if you want to transport them, for instance, to court and so forth, there is a lot of cost involved. Presently, we are struggling, even at this close proximity, to transport the prisoners here and there. So those are considerations that we have taken. And again, to be able to build a new prison, we need money, and the money is not there. So you know that as well as I do. So the idea of trying to dispose of that Mile 2 so that we all forget about it. If you look at, oh, this was it, but no one will go there again, as they say, never again. So. We'll engage you again about the Americans who are interested, or it might be Gambians who are interested in assisting. We wouldn't say no to any assistance, but sometimes people come to us with proposals and they say this, that, and that. For instance, to assist the police getting equipment for peacekeeping. They tell you it's free. It's not free sometimes. But if they come to us and we know it's something free, why would we say no to it? So I would exchange my card with you so you can see me and we discuss this. Thank you so much.
The head office.
The head office?
They say they're going to support us so that we can build our renting.
Yes, we are talking about instead of renting. It's a concern for me. That's why I was on my PS to say, please, let me see the contract document to know whether or not we are due for renewal, but we were late.
Yes. For that one, I will refer the honorable member to personally see you in your office so that you can expand the discussion.
Yeah, like you said, my office open. Please call me. You want to discuss issues in your areas of responsibility. We will discuss. And if I don't give you all the answers, I will tell you, come back again. And again, we promise to be very proactive. I apologize again if I've tread on toes. I don't want to do that, and for not coming on that occasion. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, I recognize the presence of the chairperson, nominated member, and the deputy speaker. Thank you very much for clarification. And with regret that you were once an email and then actually taken to the jump. In fact, that was the area that I wanted to intervene on. Unfortunately, you were once a victim and then taken to Janjaweed prison. So there was a time when I visited Janjaweed prison, I couldn't even believe it. But since you are now the minister, and then you have tested that prison in Janjaweed, and then during your presentation also, you have told us actually taking somebody to prison is not to suppress or torture the individual, but to rehabilitate him. And then I'm very happy you being the head of that institution, this thing is clicking in your mind. And then hope so the committee, as I always said, we are here to listen to you, you inform us, so that, okay, we can help you in the area that actually you need an assistant. And then the other issue that I wanted to comment, sometimes being a layman, Sometimes I may say, oh, the Ministry of Interior can even have money for themselves. Because if I see the amount of traffic violation happening a day, traffic violation alone happening a day, like the seatbelt. I think the law is if you are caught without a seatbelt, it is $1,000. So many series of traffic violation is happening. If this thing, there was a proper mechanism of collecting this money, the Ministry of Interior will generate a lot of money. There are certain things you might not even come to the assembly. You have enough money for yourself. But on that note, I believe you are very experienced. Maybe if in the long run, as we start engaging you people, we can actually come up with all these things. And then, as I mentioned earlier on with the Ministry of Defense, nothing prevents you from actually coming up with your policies at the level of the plenary in-house. We discuss it with you, because once we discuss it with you, we'll get a closer understanding of your policies, how you want to drive the affairs of your ministry. Then it will actually make our work easy. I see you are talking one another. Maybe I think you have something that you want to clarify.
Mr. Chair, I mean, thank you very much for that point that you've raised with regards to revenue mobilization as far as the Ministry of Interior is concerned. For your information, I would like you to know that we have with the police, we have instituted on-the-spot payments for traffic violation recently. We are also thinking of certain payments for the use of our fire services. You know, these are all new ideas that we are that's coming up. Yeah. In addition to that, the prisons rehabilitation and the new bill that is being sent to cabinet is also capturing certain areas in terms of an enterprise window for the prison. We've seen recently in Senegal where their prisons is almost like a factory. You know, prisoners engage in paid employment, you know, industrial employment, and also skills acquisition. These are all, you know, ideas that are in, and we will definitely, you know, want to have your support in some of these, you know, paradigm shift in terms of security management. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the innovation.
Yes.
Actually, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, I think I have to, before I close the meeting, I would invite the Vice Chairman. I don't know whether he has something. Yeah? Okay, Honorable Minister.
So this, I just have a follow-up. In regard to the preference that he said about security in terms of either when they are either, you know, wounded, or actually you explained a scenario of a junior rank. You were told that there are preference that were given to the high ranking officers than the junior one. I want clarity here. Is it an act or a law that is guiding that division? And if it is so, newly as the minister, I think it is prudent for you to look at this to see how do you be inclusive to even the low rankers. Today I am a private officer or police. I'm amputated. I go home suffering. You know, if I'm a commissioner, you know, amputated, you know, the police or the department also do something better for me. So I think here, if it is a policy, I better off ask your indulgence, and with the Minister of Interior to look at it vividly, so that it will be inclusive, equity, and again, it will also show that boost of morale, whereby you see that I will not be effectively performing my role as a junior ranker in extinguishing a problem. So I want to pose that to you to see how best you could do it. I don't know. Yes.
Honorable Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much for that observation. Sometimes the information that we get might not be the correct one, but that was what I had at that point, because it was like a junior officer was trying to get access to medical treatment abroad, and my understanding at that point was that up to grade 10 and above, or so, but I forgot the particular level, who are entitled to that type of treatment, except otherwise if it is recommended by a medical board. But I'll get clarification. But you could also ask the same and ask from others. I will find out. Yes, inclusive or equity is important. We were able to get that treatment, but the treatment was not funded by the police. We don't have funds for that. For your information, the funds come from the medical health board. They are the ones responsible for that. So they know the criteria, but I can ask. If you want, next time I come, I will be able to give that to you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Minister. Let me use this opportunity to thank you.
Yeah.
The recognition of the importance of this National Assembly. Because at the beginning, when you made your statement, you definitely recognize the importance of this institution. So I must return thanks to you also. On that note, may I call on a member to move for the adjournment of this meeting till further notice. Any member move?
I hereby call adjournment of this meeting to further notice.
Any second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that the meeting be adjourned till further notice. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. I have it. Then the meeting stand adjourned till further notice. Thank you, Honorable.